Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the off season. It is the end of February. It is 55 degrees and sunny out. Combine week is upon us. Kmess here with the now two-time Super Bowl champion Aidan Powers. If you were watching on YouTube, he just took a pause away from the coffee shop. Mr. Barista over here, just kidding. He's got a fire jacket on, chain hanging out, looking all good, looking like a Super Bowl champion. And I am looking like a 45-year-old man who hasn't seen the Super Bowl in 30 years. Welcome, everybody. We are here. We are fired up. Aidan has been on a tear of life, and I have had my life torn down recently and with sicknesses and all that. So we are finally back together, excited for the offseason. But before we get into the combine and Cowboys retirements and who the Eagles are going to re-sign and the combine, I give the floor to Aidan.
For anything
you want to talk about.
For anything that I want to talk about?
This
All
is
right.
the first time you and I have been on camera together, or we don't even know if the cameras are working. Shout out StreamYard. Speaking to each other on a platform that's going to go out over the airwaves since the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
True. I've done a few solo things that they might have heard my thoughts already, but at the same time, it does feel great. And what I've recently learned, because I figured out how to download highlights of Eagles games, which look out, internet, I figured it out. took me a while, but I got it. This year was so much fun. There are so many fun plays, and now that it's over, I'm just like, wow, I am going to appreciate this year forever. Like, I will never take this year for granted. There are so many memorable plays that in any other aspect would be memorable, except something even crazier happened. So take, for example, the Jaguars game. We win. We're in Kelly Green. It's a great day. They go to 6-2 after the game. And you forget, like, Saquon had a 3rd and 17 running back draw touchdown. Zach Martin had an interception. Devontae Smith, one-handed touchdown in the back of the end zone. Jahan Dotson, acrobatic catch. And you're like, I totally forget about half that stuff because Saquon jumped over a guy backwards during that game. So it's just one of those years where everything went right, and now it's starting to sink in that it was perfect. 11 out of 10, no notes, level perfect.
It was funny because my wife and I took our daughter on Friday to get breakfast. She wanted bagels. It was her birthday on Friday morning. I took off, and it was where we were in our town of Doylestown. There's like a spot where like Santa comes, right? And there's a little village they set up. And I said to my wife as we're walking by, I was like, it feels like just yesterday I was standing in line there waiting for Santa Claus. She made me come early to stand in the cold to make sure that the kids and her didn't have to wait long. And then they drove a half hour later to get there. But point being, I said, do you know what day that was? She's like, I don't know. I go, that was the last day the Eagles lost. I was standing in line during the Commanders game with like all these Eagles fans. Like, oh, they kicked a field goal out to touchdown. And I was like, that was the last day the Eagles lost to Washington.
I was there, which was even funnier.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
I did this just once again, I'll never stop recapping this year, but I thought about it the day after the Super Bowl. Again, there's like certain moments it just continues to sink in for you. And I was like, they lost one time from September on. It was a game where Jalen got hurt. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was ejected. Dallas Goedert didn't play. 3 other defensive starters were in and out because they got banged up and injured.
They still should have won.
What?
And they still should have won.
And they still should have won that game. It was the only time they lost.
That ball.
If Devontae catches it, there's a few other things in that game that were crazy. That was the last time that they lost. They lost one time from September on. At no point during the year did they lose at full strength with all 11 starters on offense. They won 3 of 4 of the playoff games by double digits. They won 9 games overall from September on by double digits. They led in double digits by 15 of their final 16 games because there were times where teams scored in like garbage time, like the Commanders on Thursday Night Football or the Ravens game. Even the playoff game, they were up 13. The only playoff game they didn't win by double digits, they were up by 13 with 4 minutes left. So like, not only did they not lose, they pretty much just dominated October, November, December, January into February. Like there was the path of resistance was not that tough for them. There were moments here and there, like the Panthers game.
Yeah. But I mean, even the Atlanta game, again, should have won. If it wasn't for a miraculous last second drive by Kirk Cousins, the only basically good thing he did all season. But you also, I mean, but you need those moments, right? In the season, they had just gotten back from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and now they're playing a night game against, Atlanta. They had the game in hand, and then, shit happens. But, from an outsider's perspective too, and I guess, the thing that I kept saying, there was a couple things, is one, in the playoffs, right? I kept saying to you, I won't believe that anybody in this league is going to win in Philly in the playoffs until I see it. Guess what? Didn't see it. There was a certain swag about them again, that people were questioning would be able to come back to this team after the second half of last season. But I think pretty quickly you saw it. And I think you saw it even more once the young guys started clicking. Cooper, Quignon, like once they were thrust into the positions that really helped the team thrive. Everybody, right? You saw vets, older guys with more pep in their step, the young guy. It just was so cohesive. And the other thing that I don't think is getting talked about enough with this team was I call it the will to work. Because if you go back to that one video where it was after a win on a Sunday and Sirianni's like, we're back to work tomorrow, and the whole team cheered that they have to go to work tomorrow, when most teams are like, off till Wednesday, and they're like, fuck yeah. Like, this team wanted to work. They wanted to be together. They wanted to get better. And ultimately, that's why they went on the run that they did, and they ultimately kicked the shit out of everyone they played against in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yeah. I wish I had that will. Like, yeah, we got to work on Monday. Last night I was like, damn, I got to work tomorrow. And I don't know if you saw this, but Fangio, they had a meeting to discuss the parade. So like everyone knew where to be. Yep. He kept the defense after the parade meeting to talk about how they gave up 22 points in the second half of the Super Bowl.
That's
Which
awesome.
is just like so perfect, because I always say this, to build the perfect NFL or just football in general coaching staff, you need a head coach who's like a people person who understands the players and relate to them. You need an offensive coordinator who is like borderline on the spectrum, but is just like a savant with offensive creativity and play calls. And then you need a defensive coordinator who's like this blue collar grizzly guy who's at least moderately upset at all times. And that's the perfect way to coach.
And believe it or not, I think the Cowboys are somewhat putting that formula together with the coaching staff they're putting together. We can talk about that in a little bit. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but that kind of blueprint is sort of what they're trying to build, which I appreciate.
I can segue this perfectly from where we're at to where you guys are. And I do have, if I could just give one complaint to Eagles fans, not all Eagles fans, it's just a point of constructive criticism that I would like to air my grievance.
Okay.
We won the Super Bowl. And as you pointed out, we kicked the shit out of every team that we played since October.
Literally. We
don't have to care about what the national media people are debating on talk shows. We won the Super Bowl. Yeah, like, it doesn't matter. They can do all the what ifs in the world, like the clip. Oh, did you see Jalen Hurts isn't a top 5 quarterback? No, I haven't. I don't watch it because I've watched him throw the dagger to Devontae Smith 50 times. Yeah, who cares? Like, oh, like, and this is the other one where there's been a few other ones, just like the Eagles and what ifs and stuff like that. And it's like, who cares? Like, we don't have to be in these rage bait debates anymore. We put up 55 in the NFC Championship, and we were up 34 after the Super Bowl. There's no what ifs anymore. There's no questions to answer. There's no criticism to levy against this team. They did it, and they did it as nearly perfect as you could be. in a sport, especially football, that segues to what I was going to say, where they're like, the Cowboys are one Eagles offseason away from having the same run. No, they're not. But I'm also just not going to pay attention to stuff like that and enjoy this Eagles run.
Well, and I will tell you this and yes, you're right about everything you're saying. And the funny part is it is coming from the national media. None of this and none of what you just said is coming from Cowboys media or from Cowboys fans for the most part, right? There's a couple of those DC4L douchebags that think that, but
you hate them.
I hate them so much. But for the most part, logical Cowboys fans, logical Cowboys media, the the talking points are how far away they are. I from not only the Eagles, but the Commanders. Like, I think this Cowboys team right now is going to be a perennial third place team in the division right now until unless they make miraculous, like they have to hit on every single one of their draft picks. Their 2 first-round picks from the last 2 drafts who have been disappointments need to play like all pros. Like, it can be done, but it's not going to be done. So it's just funny. The Cowboys get thrust into every debate and every discussion because it's for clicks and it's for views and it's for bullshit. Agents do it, right? Oh, Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
like,
we're in
the
that
Cowboys.
One too.
Like, but it's even when like the Odell Beckham, like agents put the Cowboys in the headlines because that is the way that people, or even like Cowboys are up there, best odds to land so-and-so. That's Vegas just stealing money because they know idiots are going to bet on it. Like, you're right. It's just so frustrating, but at least it's not really coming from us this time. And on Twitter, like, I haven't seen, again, for the most part, like Cowboys fans trying to defame this Eagles team or these wins, because there's 2 types of Cowboys fans right now. Like, yeah, I was upset, didn't want the Eagles to win, but at the same time, one, I'm hoping it is a stick it to Jerry Jones. Like, look what your division rival's doing. And 2, there wasn't really like much to hate about the team except for if they didn't have, if that was the Tennessee Titans, that would be like one of my favorite teams ever. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
It's just,
that is like you're right. Like, if you put this team,
if this was like the Panthers, who we all like, one of our combined teams, like, I would have loved this team.
Definitely. If this is the Chargers, I'm like, this is a pretty cool team.
Your right tackle is running down the field laughing and then doing Bane quotes on the field.
Yeah, exactly. If Mulata's on oh my God, who would even be a team? I'm trying to think of the Jaguars. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If this is the perfect one. If this team, and you took this exact team and just traded all 53 guys to the Indianapolis Colts, everyone would be like, wow, love this team. A+. Go, guys. Have fun.
And another, like, just massive difference between, I mean, there's so many differences between these organizations, and I think this is the perfect time to have this type of discussion, is
important to the draft.
It's everything, but it starts at the top, and it always starts at the top with the owners. Jeffrey Lurie sold 8% of his team to an equity firm. Do you know why? Because he wants to win. He wants to have cash on hand to hand players like Saquon Barkley so that they can literally sign him, give him cash in hand, signing bonus, and then they can spread the money out. The cap hits $3.5 million. They got Saquon Barkley for $3.5 million cap hit. We got Michael Kendricks. Like, that's you know what I mean? So do you think Jerry Jones is going to sell 8% of his team? Fuck no.
No,
because he doesn't want to win.
You're very right, and I'll spare the who should stay, who should go conversation. I did do a video on that, so check out the YouTube. I power rank the top 4 Eagles free agents. The fact that there's really only 4, and they're like 10 out of 11 on offense coming back, possibly 11 if they sign Becton, is wild in itself. But the fact that you're in that situation is, like you said, so everyone's like, well, why doesn't everyone do it like how he does it? and kind of work the loopholes of the cap system by converting your salaries into bonuses so it doesn't hit against the salary cap. And it's like they do things like that. One, because they logistically thought of doing it. They were one of the first teams to have tried it. Two, they have an owner who is willing to do it and pay cash up front or take on a dead cap number at the end so that you're not constantly paying the piper and getting behind the 8 ball in terms of these contracts and ending up in situations where you're over the cap constantly. So they constantly rework it. And because they do, is like you said, they have an owner who is willing to spend the money now and then to make sure that they are constantly in good salary cap health.
And they're also proactive
in
re-signing their guys early, right? That Devontae Smith contract is a steal. They redid A.J. Brown twice. What do the Cowboys do? They wait the last second and get hamstrung by Dak Prescott. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. And it's going to be the same goddamn thing with Micah Parsons when they have the option to re-sign him now.
Well, and here's the thing, that here is the silver lining for you guys is with Micah Parsons, you won't have to worry about that salary cap negotiation with him because he'll be a Philadelphia Eagle. So that solves
with Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett.
Dude, Abdul Carter, I'm buying he'll be here in 2028, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, if he ever hits free agency, there's no doubt he's going where he's going to go.
Yeah. I genuinely think we both know Micah is online, probably too online. I think he saw the reception for Saquon and knows he could follow a parallel path. Pennsylvania kid who went to the Pennsylvania college, who then went to a division rival, came home effectively and was a star for the home, quote unquote, hometown team. And Saquon had 100% approval rating here. With the amount that Micah follows outside of his team in the NFL, the way he follows social media, and just overall, he has a good general perception of things that are going on. I genuinely believe that he may want to do the same thing and come play for the Eagles because he saw the reaction to it for Saquon.
We'll see. We'll touch on that. Speaking of Saquon and his 100% approval, which I completely agree, I have a question for you. Parade seemed phenomenal. I think they got almost every aspect correct. Like, it was my one question. It seemed as though they had like 47 buses.
They did.
It was a lot. Why does Saquon Barkley have to find the ball boy? Why was the ball boy not invited? Everybody else was.
I was going to say there were multiple buses. What's crazy, I don't know what you could see on TV versus there. There was like 40 school buses that went by. That was like coworkers, sponsors of the team, friends and family on school buses before the floats.
Yeah, they didn't really show those.
They fly down Broad Street in the school buses to get down so you can be in the seats when they give the speeches. Like, you work for the team, you're a sponsor for the team, stuff like that. There were 40 floats. There were 40 school buses. Well, it's like, I was like, wait, there's 3 floats coming. I don't recognize a single person right now. So I don't know how the ball boy ended up in the crowd.
I was like, and just think about the luck of Saquon running into him like that.
Oh yeah, it is funny with Saquon now. It's like every person's like, oh wow, he's this great guy, and then the next clip that comes out, he's like, oh, actually, he's an even better human being than we thought. Yeah. I got very close to the parade floats. We were second row. The cannon was warmed up and ready to go. I was launching. I wasn't.
You hit Howie, didn't you?
It was not me. I almost did hit Cooper DeJean, and that is my bad. But I rewatched the tape. He alligator armed me. He had a beer in his hand, and he went to try to catch mine, and at the last second took his hand away. So he went for the fair catch and then let the ball drop and bounce to the 2-yard line. Come on, Coop.
Better he did it then than with the interception in the Super Bowl.
That is true. He did not alligator arm that one, so he is good in my book. So I think I hit 2 players with beers, and then some like people who were on the floats. I had a great one with the medical staff guy. He one-armed. We weren't filming because it wasn't like so this is what's funny. You saw it. The buses slow down, like they get stopped, and it's kind of it's slow to work through. But that's awesome because then the guys are right in front of you. But it just so happened like our spot was like one off from a player bus. So like one bus over was the offensive lineman when they were stopped, and like Mulata got off, and I could see Cam Jurgens throwing stuff. And then same thing with the defensive group where I saw Nolan Smith chugging and slamming them, and they're like, I could see Josh Sweat in the coat. But I'm like, they're one bus away, and the bus in front of us would be like the medical staff. So we weren't filming it, and I throw one up there. He one arms it, chugs it, slams it on the ground. So it was awesome.
Nolan Smith might have been the drunkest person I've ever seen in my life.
It was the best.
Him and now it makes sense even more that he tore his tricep in the game.
It is remarkable, not just Eagles, but just in general, the injuries that come out after the playoffs. Like half our team, they're like, all right, Cam Jurgens has to get back surgery. Nolan Smith tore his tricep. Brandon Graham, he wasn't actually fully healed from his tricep. Like, man, Dickerson hurt his knee. They're just gutting it out. So, my God, I love this team so much.
I just, and I've said it to you. I've said it like, I never in my 38 years of life and probably 37 of those years, 36 of those years, actually like fully remember watching football. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a team more locked in than really in that game. It just, you could just tell. And I was like, oh, it's going to, okay, it's gonna be one of those days.
It was, oh man, it really was. You're right. I don't think I've ever seen a team more locked in. It was just, you could feel the systems being overloaded. There's a channel on YouTube TV now where all they do is play The Walking Dead, and I kind of gave up on the show after a while. But
so did I.
Yeah,
so did I. It was so good to start.
Yeah, let me tell you. Now I watched episodes. You're not missing much. It gets even more unrealistic.
Is it still on?
I don't know. I really don't. But there's a channel, it just plays The Walking Dead. So I was like, all right, I'll sit down and watch an episode. And I've watched a few now. But every zombie invasion happens the same way, where it's like, oh, sorry, we let one or two through, and like, oh shit, that guy got bit, and like, all right, let me handle this. And then they're like, fuck, 20 more got through, and like, damn it, here comes 400 of them.
Yep.
It was like the same like mental overload as the Chiefs, where they were like, all right, we're screwed. That's 2. Oh, that's 20. Oh, that's 400 of them coming in, and it's just like your system's overloaded. But
we're done.
Yeah.
And that, you'd never seen Patrick Mahomes
like that
with that look on his face.
Me and my friends were talking about the mic'd up because the Chiefs on the sideline, and there's nothing else you can say. They're just in a bad spot. But they're like, the Patriots did it 28-3. Like, we could do it. And they're like, we just got to get one. Just get one on the board. And it's the mic'd up. So then they cut back to the sequence of the game, and it's just like the Eagles scoring again. So like, it's like very funny. They're like, yeah, we can do it. And it's like, they're going to run some clock or throw the dagger.
I was like,
straight from like, yeah, we can come back just like the Patriots or throw the dagger.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. All right, Combine Week, Cowboys. Who do they need? Who's in Indianapolis that they should pick up?
Everybody.
Everyone. Yeah, true.
Abdul Carter. No, so
good.
Cowboys have a lot of holes, and they have a lot of free agents, and now they have a retirement within Zack Martin.
Yeah, that is crazy. You've been calling this for quite some time. I thought he'd give another year, but you've been on this one.
Yeah, I thought heading into the year, this was going to be it. The year before, he wasn't Zack Martin, and then this year you saw him just even worse. And I was like, I never hope an injury on anyone, but I hope he's injured, because I hope he didn't just fall off a cliff like that. And he was injured, and it's just now like the last waning vision of him is going to be him sitting with Brandon Aubrey on Radio Row wearing a bright green Bounty paper towel sweatshirt.
He probably did that and was like, it's time.
I'm done. I'm sitting here with the kicker. I'm talking about now. But yeah. I remember exactly where I was the moment he got drafted, praising Jesus that they did not draft Johnny Manziel.
I was just about to say, Manziel has a new podcast now, and it's pretty good. Like he gets some good guests, and they talk about like interesting topics. They should have Zack Martin on and just talk about that.
Talk
like,
about that.
We both thought we were going to the Cowboys.
Hilarious, but thank God Jerry was tame there. So I mean, there's a lot that they need to fill. There's talk that they're gonna possibly approach free agency a little bit differently, not the way the Eagles approach, but maybe be able to sign some outside guys rather than just signing their own. I would love them to look at a Nick Bolton, linebacker from the Chiefs. I think he would be a perfect fit on this defense. Please.
Yep.
But now there's negotiations being talked about with Osa Digizua, who on the defensive line, I love Osa, but at $23 million a year, would I rather try and sign Milton Williams, who I think is a bigger, stronger Osa? Or, I mean, I know you probably haven't dove into this class yet just because you're on Super Bowl high.
Yep.
This class, Aidan, is so deep with defensive linemen. And
I did hear that. I did hear that. I love the kid from Ole Miss. I'm telling you now, don't let him sniff the bottom of the 20s. What? I forget his name, but he's the defensive tackle for Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's the Cowboys are apparently loving him. Not Trayvon Walker. He's like Trayvon Walker. Hold on.
You know who I'm talking about, though. Clearly.
Yes, Cowboys are being mocked to him a lot at 12.
He was, when I first saw him at the Senior Bowl, he was mid first. Walker Nolan, thank you.
Walter Nolan.
Do not let Walker Nolan sniff the 20s.
Walter.
Well, I'm calling him Walker.
Now he's Walker Nolan. The only thing with him is his he's got a little bit of an effort problem sometimes. Not always given, the motor 110%, but he's an athletic freak. You get him on your defensive line, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. We'll see about that little effort problem here.
But there's, it's interesting of the way it's going to be approached for the Cowboys, I think, in this draft, because running back's also kind of deep, but it's like which means probably if they don't go running back at 12, the run is going to go from 13 to 43, and they pick at 12 and 44, and then they're going to get wiped out. They also need a wide receiver. Could they go McMillan from Arizona at 12? Is there a possibility they try and trade back from 12 and they could pick up a Buka at the back end of the draft? There's so many different ways. Do they go Genty if he's sitting there, the running back from Boise State at 12, and then they address wide receiver? They also, it's a possibility they go offensive tackle, right? It's Terrence Steele at right tackle, has kind of come back down to earth a little bit. Guyton, we don't know what he's going to be. So I think everything's almost on the board for this team, and they need to fill so many holes. And another hole that people are not talking about enough, I think, for this team is cornerback. Trayvon Diggs had graft surgery. We don't know when he's coming back. It also now is coming to light that he basically half-assed his rehab last year after his knee surgery and wasn't hitting it the way he was supposed to be. And again, that's why he didn't play well and then got hurt. DaRon Bland is going to be up for a contract. Are you going to be able to afford him? Jordan Lewis, who was arguably one of your best players on a bad defense last year, he's a unrestricted free agent. You're not telling me that Dan Quinn, who loved him, would rather have him in the nickel in Washington this year rather than Noah Igbenogany, who played nickel this year for them? Yes, yeah. I'm sure. So, and Keelan Carson, the rookie from last year, I mean, he's got to take a lot of steps. So what I'm basically saying is they don't really have a cornerbacks. So that's another position they got to fill, Aidan.
This makes for great mock drafts for you because you can't go wrong. I went back, so I was getting rid of some phone storage, and I was looking at we would do those wish lists. First of all, we might be all right at this football thing, looking at those wish lists, but yours this year is just going to be like the scroll from SpongeBob where he just rolls it out and just hits the ground and kees going. That'll be you. Please. Here's my wish list at 12, and it's just everyone with a first round grade.
Everybody. I would also be okay with trading back a few spots because also, they didn't have a 4th round pick last year. Let me think why they didn't. Oh, that's right. they traded for a quarterback who never took the field until week 18 of a meaningless game, and now they're moving on from him. And they don't have a fourth round pick this year either. Let me think why. Oh, they traded it for Mims, a receiver who's no, not even Mims. What's his name?
Jonathan Mingo.
Mingo, yeah, the Mingo ate my baby. A receiver who's done nothing. So so I would love to get a pick back, kind of maybe like they did last year, traded back, got Guyton, but they were able to pick up Cooper Beebe. So we're open for business is basically what I'm saying.
You probably should be, especially in the mid-round, like in the middle. It's perfect. Hey, last time you were at in the middle, you ended up with Michael Parsons and traded with us and picked up an extra pick. So
and the Giants got nobody.
And the Giants got nobody. Kadarius Toney out of the league. Crazy. The other thing you mentioned, so free agency and how the Cowboys are going to change their philosophy. I think how free agency is approached this year will it'll be tough because I think there are multiple teams who are going to be like, well, we'll just be like the Eagles and we'll just sign a bunch of people. And it's like, well, that's not really like how it worked. Like, yeah, we got Saquon, but we also kind of got lucky with Zack Martin. Like, that wasn't like a major signing. We weren't throwing money around. We signed him. We signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Like, these guys were not at high demand, but I think people saw like the Eagles quote unquote off season and like, we'll just replicate that by throwing money at problems. Well, that's going to drive up the prices on a lot of guys, including some of these Eagles that were losing, like Zack Martin, but another name you mentioned, like Nick Bolton. So the Cowboys could be involved, and then they're finally like show up to the party, and the buy-in to get in is a lot higher than they thought.
And you could be like the Jacksonville Jaguars, who just throw money at everybody and throw a ton of money at Christian Kirk, and nothing good happens.
That's my whole worry with Bond, and I said this in the video I did. I'm like, he just screams like bad team overpay, where the Eagles obviously want him back, but there's gonna be a walkaway number.
He's gonna be a Raider.
A Raider. Even like the Jaguars you mentioned, but even the Commanders. Like, couldn't you see the Commanders being like, all right, we're gonna throw $15 million to this linebacker and be like, all right, tackling problem solved. We did it.
Because was Bobby Wagner a 1-year deal?
Yes.
I think he was. Yeah.
But be like, oh, we'll just pair them together,
Yeah. Yeah, I think Washington's going to be very, very aggressive. Again this offseason. I think
somehow the Falcons don't have money, and they are over the cap, and I can't even figure out why. I can't even tell you one big contract.
Kirk Cousins.
Never mind. I just remembered. I was like, they have a rookie quarterback. The running back's still on a rookie deal. The wide receiver's still on a rookie deal. Who did they pay this money to? I just remembered.
A quarterback with no Achilles tendon. who they got in trouble for tampering with. Did they lose a draft pick?
I think they did. Or I don't remember now. I don't remember if they did, but they might have. There was talks of them losing. The fact that there are even talks of them losing a pick makes it funny.
All right. Speaking of, and I will give you one free agent. Well, he's not a free agent yet, but he may become one, or a trade candidate, is Cooper Kupp. And I think he could be a very realistic option for the Cowboys for multiple reasons. He immediately becomes the number 2. He is that kind of possession receiver that's going to be what Brian Schottenheimer wants, kind of like the extension of the run game. And his wide receivers coach in college is now on the Cowboys staff, and he called him, quote unquote, the best coach he's ever played for, and loves to play for him. So you see obvious connections there. So be on the lookout for a Cooper Kupp possible. Speaking of the Rams, though. Oh, yep. You go.
No, I was just gonna say Kupp. I think you're right. Is legitimate, reasonable. He killed me in fantasy football, so I can't approve the move.
Speaking of the Rams, I want to play a little game here. We haven't talked about this but I want to go a little bit around the horn. So it has been spoken of that the Rams are kind of open for business. Like, come talk to us about Matthew Stafford. And I don't know what they want. Huh?
I'm confused by this.
Me too. But and maybe they really aren't going to move on from him unless someone blows them away with a deal, which is possible. But I wanted to kind of go around the league a little bit, and let's see if we can find the perfect fit for Matthew.
Okay, 49ers. Done.
Okay. I was going to say one of the New York teams. Either.
Perfect fit for them or for him? Because I think it'd be good for them. I don't think it'd be good for him.
For them. I think he could do what Aaron Rodgers could not do with the Jets. And I would not want to see him with Malik Neighbors.
That is true. He would, yeah. Oof. He would be a fantasy. I think I won't even hesitate to take him first overall in fantasy football, to be honest.
But as free agency comes closer, I just kind of want you to think about, like, Steelers are out there. I don't think that's what I was going to say. Really, maybe the Raiders. There are team options out there. But I'd rather have him than Aaron Rodgers. I'll tell you that if I was a team.
Definitely. Yeah. He's just better. Almost beat us.
He is. Yeah, he did. God. All right. That's the taste. We're here. We're in the offseason. Once Aidan gets off his cloud, which is not going to happen probably anytime soon, but we will start our mock drafts. We will start talking Walter Nolans. We will start talking all of the prospects, all of free agency. I love this time of year. So does Aidan. Probably a little less this year because, I don't know, there's some still celebrating to go on. But it's coming. Tons and tons of off-season draft possibilities, trade rumors, free agency rumors. We will be all on it right here at Birds vs. Boys. If it's your first time here, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit the comments. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you agree, disagree. Anywhere you are on social media, TikTok. Aidan has been taking over TikTok, literally. I still don't have a sign-in or a login. Maybe I could help out a little bit, but we'll see one day. Twitter, Instagram, we are there as well. And anywhere you listen to podcasts, we are there in full episode form. We're here. It's the offseason. And Aidan is still a Super Bowl champion 2 times over.
Good to be here.
We will be back next week.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year! This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.